Okay, welcome back. So I decided to make like a new series where I literally just play Minecraft and read Reddit stories. You know, it seems like a good idea, so might as well give it a try. But yeah, I have decided that I'm going to use this world as the world that I record on for all these stories. Hopefully, I keep this world. It is on the most recent update, and I haven't played Minecraft in a while, so I kind of want to try out all the new things. But yeah, I'm just gonna be reading some Reddit stories while playing Minecraft. Hopefully, you enjoy the background of me talking and playing Minecraft. But yeah, thank you for clicking on this video. I do appreciate it. But yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so the first story we got is, am I overreacting over a message response from my girlfriend after she disappeared for 36 plus hours? This might be long, but I feel like all this context matters. Thanks in advance if you read this whole thing. I'm genuinely looking for unbiased opinions because I'm struggling to understand whether I'm being unreasonable here or if this relationship just has fundamental communication issues. My girlfriend and I have been together for almost 2 years. We moved in together fairly quickly because she was going through some mental health struggles at the time. We agreed that I would cover rent and bills so she could focus on her mental health, and she would handle household tasks like cooking and cleaning, nothing rigid or daily, just generally contributing in that way. She was working for a while. This matters later as she referenced working nights, but she lost her job not too long ago due to constantly being late. I want to be upfront that I'm not perfect in this relationship and I have made real mistakes. The biggest one is that about 8 months ago, I lost my job and I didn't tell her right away. I was ashamed and honestly didn't think she could emotionally handle it. Hiding that combined with my own stress and resentment caused me to pull away and act like an a hole at times. I fully own that and I wish I had handled it differently. Another issue she often brings up is that my brother got married this summer. Initially, she was going to attend, but she wasn't in a good place mentally. And at the same time, I was questioning the relationship. I decided not to have her meet my family under those circumstances, which she feels got her hopes up and hurt her deeply. Things got really bad between us, and eventually I came clean about everything, apologized, and committed to working on the relationship. One of her main requests was that I opened up more emotionally, which I've generally been trying to do. I've made noticeable efforts on everything she's asked me to work on. In return, I asked her for two things. One, basic communication, especially because she has a pattern of leaving the house for days at a time without texting or checking in at all. Two, finding a counselor since her mental health struggles are ongoing and impacting the relationship. Her response has consistently been that she can't put effort into those things because I haven't fixed the hurt I caused before my apology. This brings me to the current situation. She left the other day without saying much over the next 36 hours. I called her about 4 times, which is usually what happens when she disappears like this. Then at 2:30 a.m., she called me asking me to come pick her up. I missed her call but called her back literally 1 minute later at 2:31 a.m. She didn't answer. That led to the text exchange I'm asking about. Okay, so it looks like OP has included the text and screenshots of their conversation about this whole situation. I'll probably throw them up on screen, but I'll try to read them here and briefly explain it. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. After reading that, it's a little much. I'll try to explain it. So OP's girlfriend She went to allegedly go buy an Xbox from her dealer or from the guy who's selling it. A lot of people are saying that she went to her dealer, and she's making up these small lies. And so basically, she's not buying an Xbox. She's buying something else that rhymes with heth or pentanol. Something that rhymes along with those words is that's what people in the comments are saying. But besides all that, OP saying that you know he doesn't like the lack of communication and how she's just disappearing for days on days. And then, she texts back with this very erratic message and trying to gaslight him, saying that he's not picking up or answering her calls and that he's at fault for making her feel bad, which is absolutely crazy. Yeah, this like I don't want to speak for anyone, but she is definitely like crazy and maybe on something. Again, a lot of people in the comments are saying that she's probably on something. Okay, but let's get back to the story. Okay, so OP says, I was honestly taken aback by her response and haven't even addressed it with her yet because I don't know how to approach it without turning it into another fight. I'm open to constructive criticism. If I should have handled something differently here, I want to hear that. I just feel like there's a massive disconnect in how we see accountability, communications, and expectations in a relationship. Oh, and the reason that I bring up her falling asleep at other places is because she has always had the strangest sleep patterns. She sleeps all day when I'm at work, then stays up all night because she claims to be a night owl. Then when she goes to her friend's house, she sleeps at night. Then when she goes to her friend's house, she's able to sleep at night. It's silly, but something I've brought up before. I just wanted to give some background to that statement. I'm the blue and she's the gray. Opinions? Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like OP is definitely being manipulated in this type of circumstance. I don't want to speak badly about someone else's relationship, but there's definitely something going on that he doesn't know about or he is ignorant about, and he doesn't understand why she's acting like this and disappearing. And by reading the comments, like, a lot of people are saying that both of them, OP and his girlfriend, have maybe been doing something with substances. Because one comment said that OP was in some type of subreddit with something that rhymes with Heth. OP is definitely not overreacting about this whole situation. This is not normal behavior that your significant other should be doing. Like with her erratic behavior and all these like disappearing and falling asleep type of things. There's a lot of stuff that we as readers do not know about. Like all I could say is that OP is definitely not in the wrong. But unfortunately, like, I haven't found any updates. It's only been, like, posted a few days ago. But, let's get to the next story. Enough of that. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, this one's, pretty funny. Am I the a-hole for saying fourth time's the charm when my uncle talked about getting married again? On Sunday, we were meeting with my uncle for a kind of Christmas meetup because one of my aunts had to leave today. I was with my dad and uncle in the yard. My dad asked my uncle how his plans for getting married were going. So I should give some context here. My uncle's first marriage ended almost 2 decades ago. I have three cousins from that marriage whom I used to be close to, but their mom got custody and we rarely see them. Then around 8 years ago, he got married to a woman overseas, brought her here. She already had a guy here. She called the cops on him for some made up things. And when we came back from a night in jail, she left. This is what I've heard. I was in college and the marriage didn't even last one term for me to have come back home and met her. It lasted a week, I think. Then, 3 years ago, he got married overseas again. And this time, her parents changed her mind, so they got divorced while there. Naturally, I never met her. So when my dad said that, I looked at my uncle and asked him if he's really going to get married again. He said, yeah, that he thinks he needs a partner in life. I just, without thinking, said, fourth time's the charm. My uncle didn't take it well, while my other uncle found it hilarious. I'm pretty sure my dad did too, but he was being diplomatic about it. Today, my mom told me that my uncle had told my dad it was really rude and disrespectful for me to say what I said. She said to just apologize to him when we see him on Christmas. I said, sure, whatever, I'll apologize. This uncle has always been a fun uncle who would hang out with us cousins, so I thought he could take a joke, but I'll apologize. Was I the a-hole? Okay, I just found the story pretty amusing. So a lot of people in the comments are saying that OP was the a-hole. Now, I personally think that OP was not in the wrong. I feel like he was just making light of the situation, which is something I personally do when I try to make someone feel better. You know, I try to joke around or whatever and make light of the situation and, just tease them a little bit, try to get a smile out of them. But it seems that, this specific topic was a little sensitive for his uncle, which is something he probably should have communicated about. Maybe OP didn't, realize that. It's not really his fault that he doesn't know how his uncle's feeling because, he never said anything about it. OP was just trying to make a little joke, maybe just to make him feel better. But he definitely took it the wrong way. I feel like his uncle probably just has very poor choice of woman and that he placed himself in that type of situation. Me personally, and like no disrespect, I would say after the second marriage, call it wraps. I don't really know why his uncle feels like the need to be married. It's probably best for him not to be. But, people do what they want. It's probably a good thing that OP is apologizing to him. It wasn't really disrespectful. OP thought his uncle was chill, someone he could, joke around with. But apparently, that was too much of a sensitive topic for him, which is okay. He probably just should have communicated that. Okay, the next story we have here is my roommate thought our Wi Fi bill went up because we are using too much Google. Let's call my roommate Kevin. Living with Kevin has honestly felt like a social experiment no one approved. I knew he was a little off when we first moved in, but I didn't realize how deep it went until the great Wi Fi incident of last month. So our internet bill went up like $12. It was annoying, but not the end of the world. I assume the company raised rates like they always do, but Kevin, no, storms into the living room, holding the bill like we had committed a crime. He goes dead serious. Which one of you keeps using too much Google? They're charging us extra. I thought he was joking. I laughed. Big mistake. He doubled down and starts listing internet heavy activities he's noticed. Me watching YouTube while cooking, our other roommate playing Spotify, someone downloading a big PDF that one time. He even said, and you guys always have so many tabs open. That stuff adds up. This man genuinely believes the Wi Fi company charges per Google search, like some kind of data utility meter. He kept saying we need to limit our browsing and no unnecessary internet after 8 p.m. I swear I almost passed out trying not to laugh. The funniest part, Kevin watches 4K anime every night and streams games until 3 a.m. But somehow we were the problem. When we explained how the internet plans actually work, he got defensive and said the companies changed the prices based on vibe level. I still don't know what that means. Meanwhile, I'm over here trying to actually budget like an adult, track spending, build my credit back up. I even use a Fizz debit card that reports to the viewers because I got tired of random surprises messing up my finances. But Kevin thinks the Wi-Fi bill is basically a mood ring. I honestly don't know how he survived this long. It's kind of hard to believe that Kevin is an actual person, but I am, trying to find stories that I believe are true. And, this one's kind of pushing it because it's very hard to believe that someone actually thinks like this. But you never really know. There are people out there that do act like this, I guess. Maybe Kevin is just a chill guy that likes to chill and not worry about things. So, can't really hold that against him. Okay, so currently I'm running around this area to see if I like this place. And we got a little dog here. I like that skin. But yeah, I'm just running around seeing if I want to build in this area. It looks like a good place to build. Um, I might start building a base here. I feel like I'm just gonna make a starter house here maybe and probably put it like somewhere around the edge here because I kind of want it to have like this viewpoint. But yeah, it seems like right here is a good place to set up. Okay, so the next story we got is, am I the a hole for refusing to clean the coffee machine at work? I work in a space with about 20 coworkers. We share a break room and the coffee amenities that are in it. That includes a fancy coffee machine, a lot of mugs, and a dishwasher for said mugs. The coffee machine needs to be cleaned daily so that the milk inside does not curdle overnight. This means running the cleaning cycle and opening the machine to wash some of the individual components inside. The office has a weekly rotation for the coffee cleaning duty. Managers are exempt from that duty, so the common worker like me is typically in charge of cleaning the coffee machine for a week every few months. On top of that, everyone leaves their dirty mugs in the kitchen sink, and the person on rotation is expected to load and unload the dishwasher multiple times a day so that everyone can have a clean mug at all times. On days when the managers have business visitors, this can add up to a lot of mugs to cater the visitors' coffee needs. I understand that the coffee machine and mugs are a common amenity, and I agree that if you use them, you should contribute. That said, I do not drink coffee. It is a very well known fact among my coworkers that I dislike coffee. They even joke about it. I do not use a coffee machine for coffee, hot chocolate, or even water. I don't even use the mugs. I prefer drinking juice, sodas, and water that I bring with me every morning in my own containers. I asked to be kept off the cleaning rotation since I don't use the coffee machine and most likely never will. I find it a bit ridiculous to only touch the coffee machine to clean it and to be asked to clean after everyone for something I'll never use. My coworkers are split on the matter. Some agree with me, others say that I should contribute to living in society regardless and do it to keep the peace. I'd argue that they have a vested interest in me participating so that they can clean less often. I am aware that this is just a coffee machine and I'd be cleaning it for just a week every few months, but the principle of it bothers me. Am I the a hole for not wanting to clean the coffee machine? Okay, so it does seem a little unfair to OP here because apparently the managers, they're drinking coffee too and using the coffee machine, but they don't have to clean it, which is unfair for the workers there, especially for OP because he doesn't use it. He's basically cleaning up after the managers, which is not his responsibility. They're full grown adults and they should be able to clean up after themselves, right? So, no, I don't think OP here is in the wrong for not wanting to clean up other people's messes. But there is a responsibility in the workplace. So sometimes contributing is the right thing to do sometimes. Okay, so this one's going to be a pretty long one. I, 32 male, am divorcing my wife, 33 female, after finding out that my 5-year-old son is not mine. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I found out my wife cheated on me 6 years ago. The way I found out is that her sister told me after going to visit her to find out how the delivery of her first child was. She confessed to me that 6 years ago, my wife told her that she was drunk and slept with her best friend. In her words, My wife was very sorry. Damn, that's a pretty terrible way to find out that you got cheated on. Your sister-in-law coming up to you saying that 6 years ago, your wife cheated on you, which is kind of crazy because they've been keeping this a secret for so long. But might as well get back to the story. At the time she told me, I was with my son, and immediately after leaving the house, I went to take a paternity test with him, fearing the worst. A week later, I get the results, and my fears came true. My son is not mine. For some reason, I began to see the boy differently, more as an acquaintance than a son. With proof in my hands, I confronted my wife at night when the child was sleeping. She asked me who told me, and I simply told her that it was none of her business. Although obviously it wouldn't take long to connect the dots that it was her sister. Well, this is not my problem now. Regardless of that, I asked her for a divorce, which is now in process. She was devastated. She swore to me that nothing will happen with anyone ever again, that she has been faithful to me, body and soul, since then. I held back the urge to insult her to avoid complications during the divorce issue, not believing a word she said, mostly blaming the alcohol instead of blaming herself. Okay, so let me just summarize it because it's a little hard to understand. But OP did say that English isn't his first language, but so the summary is basically that she said she's been faithful ever since then and that she's committed to only him. But OP doesn't believe her. And she's also saying that it was the alcohol's fault and not her fault that she cheated. After talking about it, she threatened me saying that she would demand full custody of the child. I was so annoyed at that moment that I told her, okay, I don't want anything to do with something that is not mine. That she keep the child and I'll keep the dogs. We have two dogs that we adopted as puppies and they are currently 8 years old each. After my words, she tried to convince me to take care of the child with her, that I'm his father, and at that moment, I exploded. Okay, so the sentence is a little hard to read, but basically what he did, he got so angry that he starts yelling and screaming at her and to take that uh, B word with her. A week has passed since that, and I'm at home. It's in my name because it's a gift from my parents. She went to her parents' house with her kid. She hasn't called me since then. She left with everything and the half asleep kid when I yelled at her, especially since it was the first time I really yelled at her. It sure did affect her. I talked to my parents and my dad. I talked to my parents and my dad told me that I did the right thing and I shouldn't be raising something that is not of my blood, and I agreed with him. However, the pain is still there. My younger brother told me to write here to entertain myself. I'm currently seeing a therapist 3 times a week. The therapist told me that I already taken the first step, which was to leave behind what causes me pain. It just hurts to know that my family no longer exists. Damn, that was a pretty harsh way to put it, but I do kind of understand where he's coming from. Regarding why my sister in law told me everything, according to her, she felt guilty seeing me happy with my son, knowing that he may not be mine, and that the fact that we went to visit her in her moment of weakness caused her to completely break down with guilt. I don't know how true that is. I just know that right now I feel tremendous hatred for my wife and feeling pain and resentment for the child. Although it's just time to get ahead. I just hope the divorce goes smoothly. We have separate finances and properties, and if she really asks for child support, I have proof that it's not mine. According to my lawyer, that's more than enough if she tries a legal process for that. My therapist also recommended that I do not see him nor her, that regardless of the child's feelings, I should focus on my own first. The child is no longer my problem, and sooner I accept it, the better. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that's a pretty devastating story. Just like imagine you have a family and you find out that the child you've been raising for so long is actually not yours, and that, your significant other betrayed you like that. It's even worse because the sister had to come out and tell him that the child was most likely not his. Also, from the looks of it, it seems that OP deleted his Reddit account. So it looks like probably not going to be any sort of update on how he's doing or how the family's working out. But pretty devastating story. So let's just move on to the next one. Okay, so this next story is actually kind of crazy. It's about a retired FBI agent, and he actually says some crazy stuff. But since a certain type of files came out, if you know what I'm talking about, you'll probably understand after I read the story. Like this story is most likely true because this came out 2 years ago, and OP he deleted his account. But a lot of people are saying they don't believe it, but nowadays, like as of today, this story might be actually 100% true. So let's just get into it. So this is an r/stories. It's a retired FBI confession. I used to work in a medical procedure unit in the hospital in the PNW. Patients would undergo endoscopic exams, which they were sedated for. We had an elderly gentleman patient in this case, and while we waited for the doctor to arrive, we engaged in some friendly chit chat. Nothing out of the ordinary. When the doc came in, he immediately asked us if the patient told us his history. I started rattling off the medical reasons why he was having problems, the procedure, and the doc cut me off saying, no, his past work history as an undercover FBI mob agent. Naturally, my reaction was, oh, no, that must have been interesting dealing with those mob guys. The patient response has haunted me to this day. His exact words, those guys weren't as bad as those mother effing politicians. He then went on to tell a story about how he was head of security for a congressional event in the 80s. He said another agent handed him the phone saying, Congressman wants to speak with you. The conversation went as followed. Congressman, will there be women there? Agent, not sure what you mean, but yes, there'll be women here. Congressman, when I arrive, I want one sent to my room. No older than. Okay, I do apologize, but I'm not trying to get demonetized, so I probably won't say the age, but the individual he was asking for was underage. Right after he said that, the CRNA pushed the meds and he passed out. We all stood there in silence while he underwent the procedure. What the F did he just tell us? Okay, that was kind of a crazy confession. Maybe he's just a loopy old man, or maybe he's a conspiracy theorist. But from the recent the recent stuff we got out, the past year, this story is not very hard, not to believe. But yeah, this is one crazy story. Let's just get back to reading it. Okay, so OP here put up some edits because apparently a lot of people don't believe the story, which is understandable. But this is edit one. Apparently, people are getting hung up on the use of the term informant, so I removed it. For clarity, which I thought might have been deducted, this old man was not a mob informant in the sense of being a snitch in the mob. He was a retired FBI agent who worked undercover with the mob at one point, in a completely separate point in time. He claims to have been asked by a congressman for a underage individual. Again, I don't know if I could put this out on YouTube without getting demonetized, so I'm just not going to say the age. This man had no reason to lie. He didn't even bring it up. The surgeon did. Okay, so this is OP's second edit. The story is 100% true as it happened. Could the old man be lying? Yes, of course. Do I think he was? No. The procedure was a EGD, upper endoscopy. It was a surgeon doing post-operative surveillance, not a gastroenterologist. Sorry, I don't know what that says. Gastroenterologist. You naysayers need to understand that elite something something ring exists and have existed for a very long time. Sorry for the word censorship, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about. It starts with the letter P. But anyways, people taking this as a push for political worldview are wrong. I don't have a political affiliation. For everyone claiming the FBI doesn't work security or doesn't work with Congress, you are assuming that you know what capacity this guy was working at every point of his career. And then OP puts this link for a website, duties and responsibilities. The FBI police may be occasionally deployed to significant national security events, such as presidential inaugurations, the Super Bowl, conferences of world leaders, as well as major political party conferences. But yeah, that's all OP wrote. But yeah, that is a pretty terrifying story, pretty crazy too. Um, there's no way to really prove any Reddit stories are real or not. You always gotta take it with a grain of salt. It's always gonna be your conviction to, believe a story is true or false. It's not my place to talk about these type of things, but with all the recent evidence and all these new sources of information that is coming out, people are realizing that the world isn't actually how we view it sometimes, and because a lot of the time, people just are ignorant about these type of things, and these do happen. A lot of this stuff does happen, and a lot of people choose to not believe it or to believe it. Okay, so that is the end of the video. I would like to thank you for watching it until the end. If you enjoyed, please let me know. I would like to make this as some sort of series. So showing your support really helps me out in making these videos. So make sure you click that subscribe button. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Peace.